Well, we're always investigating ways to make the city better, and Tim Becker has a look at how it could be straightened out.
Mayor Charlie Hales ran for office, pledging to make police community relations a top priority. Last week, he even announced that the city would participate in a new survey to better understand citizens' views of police work. But for those who have dealt with police and complained about it, the process itself is so confusing, police auditors say it's time for a change.
Had me like this, had his right hand on top of my head. He was a little bit scared. He was shaking.
In early August, Floyd McCorvey sat before the Citizens Review Committee for a third time, detailing his complaint of racial discrimination from his run-in with police in April of 2012.
They were heading the wrong way down this street.
While walking along Northwest 19th Street, the 62-year-old says police officers called him a pimp seconds after his brief conversation with a female stranger.
62-year-old, 300-pound man pimping who? You see what I'm saying?
More than a year later, police don't deny it.
Was that I believe that there was a conversation about the prostitution, pimp, whore, something like that happened. Although there's a little discrepancy about exactly what words were used. But I believe that conversation happened.
Did you feel like it was happening point blank because of the color of your skin?
Most definitely, no doubt about it.
But McCorvey's complaint is still floating through a system that has literally dozens of ways to end up at a dead end.
If an officer is out of policy in engaging in disparate treatment, they would face discipline.
Constantine Severe is the new director of the Independent Police Review, a division of the city auditor's office. Citizen complaints about officer misconduct all start here. Last year, the division took in 413 complaints. 77%, or 323 of those, were dismissed by the Independent Police Review, sometimes called the IPR. Do you think IPR is currently doing a good job of holding the police accountable?
Well, I think IPR does a decent job. I think IPR could do a better job.
Even when Mr. Severe's division does approve a complaint for investigation, well, it's just entered the first door in the Police Bureau's review maze, a system labeled by the Department of Justice as so complex and time-consuming that officer accountability and public confidence have been lost.
The process is confusing in many ways, not only to people in the community, but to police officers.
Well, wouldn't it be time to fix it if even the police are a little confused by their own internal affairs system?
Well, the nice thing is the mayor didn't have to start at ground zero.
A spokesperson for the mayor says Charlie Hales and the city council will address possible changes next month.
One way to make it easier and simpler is for everything to be as transparent as it can be.
Constantine Severe is proposing those police accountability reforms that will go before Mayor Hales, who is also the police commissioner.
A lot of people in our community don't feel like the relationship between the police and the community is where it should be. The mayor said that when he ran, that it's not where it should be. The mayor thinks that needs to change.
All it was is he just stood there profiling with his hand on his gun like he's a tough dude.
In the current system, with so much jargon, discrimination is termed only disparate treatment in the police handbook, and allegations like McCorvey's have been dismissed as unable to prove.
I think too many are falling through the cracks, like in Mr. McCorvey's case, the discrimination allegation.
Shauna Curfey with the National Lawyers Guild says Portland should streamline how it deals with citizen complaints. She's seen that flow chart the Department of Justice has called needlessly lengthy and ineffectual.
I think they called it Byzantine was one.
I don't think our system is Byzantine. Our system is complex. We're dealing with serious issues.
So people get tired of going through the process for nothing.
Floyd McCorvey is one who vows to keep fighting. His lesser complaint of rudeness by the officer who eventually gave him a ticket for jaywalking did make it into the system, only to be initially rejected by a commanding officer.
At least the 51%, the preponderance of evidence that is needed to sustain the complaint. And I couldn't get there. I had two people saying that they didn't say that. One said he did. I couldn't get all the way to that 51%.
The citizens panel overturned the police decision, meaning for now, his appeal lives on. Back for police now to reconsider.
Because they know it's in the headlines now. 3 months later, it'll all be forgotten. believe me, it won't be forgotten because I'm asking people to take accountability.
Since we began our investigation, the mayor has shown renewed interest in the issue of the complaint process. He says the city's new survey of citizen attitudes towards police will also suggest ways the city can make the police work better for the community, including how they investigate their own for wrongdoing. Tim Becker, KOIN 6 News.